Hey guys, it's Josie again. In today's video, I will be going over 2 ways to cast on single crochets, slip stitches, chaining, and the anatomy of a crochet stitch. So let's get started. Okay, so here we are. We have our yarn, our crochet hook, scissors, stitch marker, tapestry needle. We even have a pattern picked out, but we have no idea what to do. Okay, you are in the right place, my friend. I am going to show you a few different things today. We're gonna start with cast on. So if you look at the top of your pattern, I'm sure the first thing it says to do is to cast on. So we are going to do something that I like to call the fishing method. And it feels a little bit elementary because I'm using symbolism and a metaphor, but it helps so much when you're first learning, so please just stick with me. All right, so take your yarn, and we are going to take the end that's cut and put it over top of the part that's leading back to the yarn ball. So you kind of see a fish right here, right? All right, this is our pond. This circle right here is our pond. Now I want to have a good tail right here. I want it to be longer, so I'm just going to shift it a little bit. All right, so there's my pond. And then I'm sticking this yarn that has the tail. I'm going under here so that I can just make a little fish pop its head up into the pond. You see that? So again, this is my pond right here, and this yarn is going under the water, and a little fish head is just popping up right there. And then I'm going to take my fishing hook, go into the pond, and catch this fish, okay? So now I have this loop on my crochet hook. So I'm gonna pinch right here. See how everything is coming together right here in this little section? So I'm going to just grab all of that and pick it up. Okay, now don't panic, you're holding everything now. I want you to pinch between your thumb and your pointer finger and middle finger over here, and hold on to where everything is coming together. Don't hold too tightly, but just loosely hold all of that. And you can start pulling on your working yarn. This is your working yarn, the yarn that is attached to the big ball of yarn. That's your working yarn. So start pulling on that. And you're gonna feel what used to be our pond, this big circle right here, is gonna start moving through your fingers a little bit. It might tighten on your fingers, that's okay. Once it does that, take your fingers out. You still have a loop on your hook. Keep pulling on your working yarn until your little pond has totally disappeared, okay? And then your yarn tail, that's the part that's cut right here where the yarn ends, pull on your yarn tail and you'll notice it tightens the loop on your hook. So when we did that, when we pulled on the working yarn, the yarn that's attached to the ball of yarn, it made the pond or the circle smaller. When we pulled on the yarn tail, it made the yarn that's on your hook smaller. Okay, good news, you have just cast on. If you're saying, no, I didn't, and you mess something up, that's okay. Just pause here, try again, rewind if you need to. It takes a little bit to get a feel for it for some people, and that's perfectly fine. Chaining is the easiest part of crochet, in my opinion. So all I'm going to do, you're going to learn some new terminology while we go through this too. So let's talk about what we have learned so far. So this is the yarn tail. That's the part that's cut on the end. And then this is the working yarn, the yarn that attaches to the yarn ball. we cast on, which means we attached our yarn onto our hook, and now we're going to chain. So to chain, I am going to yarn over, and all that means is that I'm grabbing my working yarn with my crochet hook. So you can see, like I just talked about, I have some tension right here, and then I'm grabbing this little hub where everything kind of comes together, and then I'm going to use my right hand to maneuver my crochet hook, yarn over, so grab this yarn, and I want to pull it through this loop that's on my crochet hook. So I'm gonna pull it through there. So you can see where it just came through this loop right here. So I just chained one. So let's do that again. I'm going to yarn over, grabbing my working yarn with my crochet hook, and then I'm twisting my hook so that I can pull it through the loop that was on my hook. So now I've chained two. See these chains right here? We've got one right here and one right here. We've got another loop on the crochet hook. So let's do that a few more times. I'm holding my tension with my left pointer finger mostly. Remember, these fingers down here are holding loosely to the working yarn. My thumb and middle finger on my left hand are holding my work, the thing that I'm making right here is my work. So they're holding my work, and then my right hand is driving the crochet hook. So I'm yarning over, twisting that crochet hook, and pulling through that live loop on my hook. So you have to remember to twist the crochet hook. I think that's where a lot of beginners stumble, as they try to just grab it and pull it through and it won't go through. You have to make sure that once you yarn over and grab that working yarn, you twist down so that it stays on your hook as you try to pull it through. So this is how a lot of crochet projects start, is casting on and then chaining. So you can see it's literally creating a chain of yarn. Alright, so now we've gone over one cast on method and we have chained. So now I'm going to show you guys how to single crochet. So when you've done a chain and now you're going to work back across your chain, you're going to single crochet. So to do this, it's pretty similar to what we just did with chaining, but now we're going back this way. Okay, so you know how with the chaining you were yarning over and pulling through? Well, now before we yarn over, we are going to insert our hook into a stitch. So I'm going to insert my hook into the second stitch from my hook, and what I mean by that is not the stitch that's on my hook, that one never counts, not the very next stitch from my hook, so not this one, but the next one, so the second stitch from my hook. And you can see the stitch has a few parts here, so let's look at the anatomy of that a little bit. This stitch, this is all one stitch right here. You see these two legs of the stitch, and then you see in between these two legs there's a back loop. This is the back loop of the chain. So that's all one stitch right there. You've got the two legs of the stitch and you've got the back loop of the stitch. That's one stitch. But when we go back and want to do a single crochet, I am going to go in between these two parts of the stitch, these two legs of the stitch. Okay? So I'm going to put my crochet hook into the middle of the stitch. I'm going to yarn over. So again, grabbing that yarn, make sure you twist it down, pull it through that stitch, and now you can see you have 2 loops on the stitch. I'm going to yarn over again and pull through both of those loops. Both of those loops. So that is a single crochet. Let's do that a few more times once I move Cheesecake. Okay, so let's do a few more single crochets together. Remember, I'm going to find my stitch, so I have another stitch right here. I've got the 2 halves of the stitch. I'm inserting my hook into the middle of that stitch. Yarn over, so grab the yarn, twist it, pull it through the stitch, and use your thumb and your middle finger to kind of pull on the work a little bit if you need to see that loop on your hook. So then you have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, and pull through both loops. I'm going to do that a few more times to get to the end of my chain here, so just watch carefully. Okay, that is the end of my chain. So I've done a single crochet in every stitch across my chain. Now I want to show you what a single crochet looks like not in a chain. So this is a single crochet into a normal stitch. So this is right where we left off. I'm going to take my work and flip it over. Taking my work, we ended right here, we were going this way. Now if I want to keep going this way, I'm just going to flip my work over, okay? I'm going to get in my position, holding everything how I need to hold it. And I want to do a single crochet into this next stitch. Now with this super bulky yarn like I'm using in this demonstration, it's very easy to just stick your fingers into each stitch to find where it's at. So right here, this is my first stitch next to my hook. I am going to do 1 single crochet into this stitch. So now that we're not looking at a chain, I'm not going to insert my hook in the middle of the stitch, so that was right here. If we look at the top of the stitch, you can see it has the 2 sides, and before we were splitting and going right in the middle. We're not going to do that now. We're going to find the part that's underneath those 2 legs of the stitch. So this is the top of the stitch with the 2 sides. Underneath that, this is the stitch that we're going to single crochet into. So I'm going to take my hook right where my finger is. You can use your fingers to kind of guide where you're going. I'm going under the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop through the stitch. So now you have 2 loops again. So this is still a single crochet like we were just doing, but now it's on stitches, not on a chain. Yarn over again. I'm gonna, remember, twist your hook. I'm gonna go through both of these loops. That's a single crochet, okay? I'm gonna do it again. So I just did 1 in this stitch. Now I'm gonna do 1 in this stitch. So I'm inserting my hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through both loops. That's another single crochet. I'm going to do it a few more times to finish out my row right here. Going into the stitch. See, I can see those two legs on top. 1, 2. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops. Again. And one more time to finish my row. And there you go. That is how you single crochet into a stitch. Alright, so one more stitch I want to show you in this video is the slip stitch. It's actually easier than the single crochet. It's kind of like a half crochet. So here I am, we finished right here. I just flipped my work over again. So just turn it over again, because remember we were going this way and I want to keep crocheting in the same direction. So I'm flipping my work over so that I can go back that way. Okay. Now I'm going to do a slip stitch. So a slip stitch, like I said, it's like a half crochet. I'm going to stick the head of my hook into the stitch. Well, actually, yeah, I'm gonna go into the second stitch from my hook right here. So I'm going into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and instead of yarning over again like I would for a single crochet, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to pull this loop that I just brought up through the loop that was already on my hook. So let's do that again. I'm going into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and pull this loop through the other loop. Again, insert my hook into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and pull that loop through the other loop. One more time. And there you go. Okay, so the last thing that I want to show you guys in this video is actually almost the same thing as the first method that I showed you in this video. So remember when we cast on, and I called it the fishing method. I actually don't know if I used those words, but that's what I call it. It's my personal little cast on method. Remember we made like this fish thing, and this was the pond, and then you pulled up a little fish right here. So we're gonna do the same thing, but it's like a variation on it. So this is great because it's almost 2 ways to cast on in one. So it's a 2-for-1 special. All right, so what we are going to do is exactly like we did at the beginning. You're gonna take the yarn tail, so the end that's cut, and you're gonna throw it over the working yarn and give yourself a nice long tail right there. And you have your little pond right here. And then you're going to stick this part of the yarn, the tail, under the water. So under this part of the pond, under the water, so that a little fish head is popping up right there. Go fishing with your hook, catch the fish, and then remember this little spot where everything joins together right here. You're gonna pick that up and pinch it lightly. And just like before, remember when you pull on the tail, it'll tighten against your hook. And when you pull on the working yarn, it'll tighten your pond or the circle that's right here. So what I want you to do is stick 2 fingers into that big circle, the pond, and then pull on your working yarn until it's just a little bit tight around your fingers. And then take your fingers out. So now you have your loop on your hook, your tail's hanging down right here, and you have the loop that was your pond. Well, guess what this is now? This is a magic ring or a magic loop. So what's magic about it is just that you can make it smaller by pulling on the working yarn. You can make it smaller, or by just pulling on the loop itself, you can make it bigger. So that's why it's magic. All right, so there's your magic ring. And the beauty of this is that you can make your magic ring whatever size you need it to be to crochet into this ring as much as you need to. So I'm just going to show you an example, and you can do it too if you want to, but there's no obligation unless you're starting a project. I'm going to work 8 single crochets into this magic ring. So I'm putting my hook into the ring, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both of those loops. Sorry, I got a little close to the camera there. I'm gonna do it again, going into the magic ring, pull up a loop. I'm going to do that 8 times, 8 single crochets, and then show you what I can do with my magic ring. Okay, so I did all of the single crochets I needed to do, and you can see that it's like I have extra right here, extra like space right here, and it's like this big hole in the middle. I am going to pull on my tail, and it is closing up that space for me. So now it's nice and tight and tidy. Isn't that cool? That is the beauty of the magic ring. All right, that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, you can comment below. Good luck with your projects. Happy crocheting!